Welcome, ho, 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 to another episode of the Fiend Zone. As it is December 22nd, 2 days away from Christmas Eve, 3 days away from Christmas. And yes, it is a time of year where we get to spend with our loved ones and enjoy, well, certain films such as Home Alone, A Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and well, oldie but very oldie. You might not have watched it. If you did, you'll remember The March of the Wooden Soldiers with Laurel and Hardy. But for us horror movie fans, we tend to look at different films, such as Black Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and everyone's lovable horror Christmas movie, Gremlins, which watch our last episode of Three Corners of Horror, where we kind of dived into Gizmo a little bit and Gremlins. I went to see it in the theaters when I was young. Damn, I'm getting old, but hey, just being honest, yes, Christmas time is such a good time for horror as well because, well, every year we kind of get a new film that comes out and makes us wonder, well, does this film belong with the films of Silent Night, Deadly Night, Black Christmas, and Gremlins? So this year we had one that came out, kind of surprised us a little bit, but it is currently streaming on Shudder. It is called The Sacrifice Game.
Christmas killers strike again.
They pick a house with a nice couple in it, and then they slash them up.
There's something special about this place.
Smells good in here. Christmas dinner? You did such a lovely job. We're just getting started. Give me the knife. Get out of here, you murderers! I am the vessel!
So cool.
Directed by Jen Wexler. The cast includes Maina Masood as Jude, Olivia Scott Welch as Maisie, Derek Johns as Grant, and Madison Baines as Samantha, as well as Georgia Aiken as Clara, and Laurent Petrie as Doug. This film, when it actually begins on December 22nd. Now, I will try to keep this spoiler free because I do feel like you should watch this film. I didn't watch any trailers of this film. I actually went on the Roger Ebert website where a film critic kind of compared certain sequences of this film if Quentin Tarantino did horror. Now, that being said, it kind of reminds you a little bit in Tarantino as far as acts go, because if you watch Kill Bill, there was certain acts and chapters in the film. This one kind of doesn't do that where it tells you there's chapters, but you feel as you're watching it that it does take that tone. Now, right from the beginning, we are introduced to this brutal foursome, but what I like about the film is you do get a jump from change of scenery from what these four are doing to the Blackwood Girls School, where we introduce a character, Clara, who her and one of her friends are basically stuck there. No, her other friend Samantha, you could tell there's a kind of friendship, very close friendship between Samantha and Clara. But this film constantly goes back and forth between these two girls and this fearsome foursome, let's call them, this Manson family-esque group. Some of the characters are very well done in this film. My favorite is Doug. Jude is basically the leader of the group. He is the one who is not afraid to pull the trigger, let's put it this way. Then you have Maisie, which is the brains behind the operation. She's the one that's driving this group into doing what they need to do. Then you have Grant, who fought in Vietnam. He's a veteran, and let's just say he's searching for something to do. And then you have Doug. Doug is my favorite because Doug is just a guy, well, he's just there for the ride. As this foursome makes their journey, you do get a kind of interaction, but a connection between Clara and the events and acts that these foursome do. Eventually, they find their way to the Blackwood Academy for Girls, where Clara and Samantha are, along with one of the teachers there, Rose. This is where the second act of this film takes place, and this is where, for me, you had a certain up and down in this film. The actions, the sequences in this film, great cinematography, very well done. Now, this is a timepiece, which Ricky Grimes loves timepieces to a certain degree if they take place in the 70s and 80s, and this one takes place in 1971. But once they get into this second act of the film, it, like I said before, you had some good moments in here. You had some moments that you felt like this film had potential to shine. But unfortunately, the lead up to this, before they get there, was pure violence, and you feel like it got toned down once it gets to this portion. This movie had a lot of potential for what it was. It was a film about a group of people who are making sacrifices in order to summon the demon. For what? What's the purpose of summoning a demon? To gain power. When you find out exactly what happened, as far as the twist goes, as far as the presence of the demon, the film takes an awkward turn where, while you like the twist of it, you feel like it could have followed through a little bit more, being the violence of the beginning of the film. But like I said before, it tied down a little bit to the point where the film dragged, and some of the scenes were, you could say, needed in this portion of the film. So the film itself, I mean, the lighting, cinematography, very, very well done. The cast, they're up and down, to be honest, because like Jude, I couldn't care for. The character Grant, I was very interested for. Meaning the fact that this is a guy who's a veteran who's witnessed atrocities in Vietnam, comes back to the world, and has no kind of sense of direction. Character Doug, like when I keep saying, Doug was great in this film. Clara, who, while her character seemed quiet in the film in the beginning, she was very interesting for the fact that you knew there was something up her. They weren't holding back that there was something interesting about Clara, because every time there's, all right, slight spoiler, every time there was an act committed by the group, Claire almost felt it or saw it or acted like she was there. So that was a great interaction of the film between both of them. However, like I said, it did drag at the end. It kind of went too comedic to a point. There's a scene in the dinner scene. Once you get to that scene, I'm curious of your reaction of the events that happen once they're on this dinner table together towards the end of the film. But overall, Sacrifice Game, I would give it a 3 out of 5. If they would have stood with the same tone in the beginning of this film, throughout the film, it would have been a great film. It's not going to be a Silent Night, Deadly Night, Black Christmas, or Gremlins, but it'll be one of the Christmas horror films that people would talk about. But yeah, definitely watch it. Currently streaming on Shudder. But before I go, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This was a good year for Horror Fiend TV as we grew, and we're going to continue to grow. You saw the guys announce their next show, and there are going to be a lot more new shows for 2024, as well as second seasons coming, especially on January 2nd, dropping the second episode of The Houses That Horror Built. January 4th, well, it's going to be story time, as What's Your Story is going to drop season 2 with myself and the fourth corner, Lexi. 2024 is going to be good for us as we continue to grow, and with your support, we will push ourselves even more. So thank you for supporting us. Continue supporting us, because we love what we do, and we definitely love hearing from you. So this is JR for the Fiend Zone, Horror Fiend TV. Have a great holiday. Please enjoy the time with your family and friends and your loved ones. It's not about the gifts. It's about the people you surround yourself with. That is the greatest gift of all. So, once again, JR, like, subscribe, Horror Fiend TV. Peace. Feliz Navidad.